GDP. It sucks. I made a video on it. It also sucks. So here's a redo. But what is it? Well, GDP, or gross domestic product, measures the total output of an economy at a given time period. It was created by Simon Kuznets back in 1934, and even he saw its limitations back in the day. To calculate GDP, you could use the production method by subtracting the cost of intermediate goods, or the income approach, which excludes sales taxes, depreciation, and foreign income. But for this video, we'll keep it simple by using the expenditure method. This is the sum of consumption, private sector investment, government spending, and exports within the economy, but takes away imports. Now, the first limitation of GDP is that it can't tell the difference between spending that is beneficial to society and spending that harms it instead. For instance, if a certain percentage of consumption is financed by credit card debt, then it will be recorded in the GDP measurement, even though no real growth occurred and future income is instead sacrificed. Or when government spending increases to solve a natural disaster, this will be counted as an increase in GDP, yet the economy isn't growing overall, it's just repairing damages. In addition, GDP only records monetized work, meaning it doesn't include voluntary work such as charity and parenting, yet it includes monetized crimes such as drug dealing and prostitution, which can then fund more violent crimes such as murder and trafficking. Talk about a lack of priorities. Moreover, GDP can be unequally distributed, and who better to talk about inequality than Senator Bernie Sanders?
Thank you, Karen. Now on GDP and inequality! We congratulate ourselves on high GDP growth for the economy, but one of those economic gains mostly benefited the rich, and that the working class received very little of it. Would GDP be a cause for celebration then? This is illustrated best when the US is number 1 on GDP rankings as of December 2020, but is the 15th most unequal country out of 51 countries. Does greater GDP mean everyone benefits from it? P.S. The Gini coefficient is a measurement of inequality. My favorite.
Now back to me. To make matters worse, GDP isn't necessarily climate friendly. GDP measures production, and right now an increase in productivity usually requires burning fossil fuels. This increases carbon emissions, which contributes to climate change and damaging the environment. GDP has no proper mechanism to account for such activity. Granted, this problem isn't unique to GDP and needs environmental solutions. Regardless, I have been critiquing GDP because it has often been used by policymakers to enact major proposals, and I don't think I have to tell you how using the wrong data can screw society, which is why we have a substitute measure, the Human Development Index. This indicator takes into account many years of schooling, life expectancy at birth, and gross national income per capita. In other words, it delves more into the skills and health status of humans rather than their productive output. A higher Human Development Index would mean higher education levels, higher lifespans, and higher gross national incomes, where the score ranges from 0 to 1. Of course, it isn't perfect, but while it doesn't record everything, it's still way better than GDP. Anyway, when it comes to the Human Development Index rankings by country, Norway comes out on top, while the US is ranked 16th, a far cry from number 1 when it comes to GDP. For some reason, I said the US ranked 4th on HDI in my previous video with no source. I guess another reason to disappoint Simon Kuznets. So I guess you guys can click on the link on my previous video, dislike it, and comment that I suck. Wait, don't do that, it will boost my vid! Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give a like and comment, as it really helps my video in the YouTube algorithm. And if you like economics and political commentary, consider subscribing. Maybe follow me on my Twitter, and see you later.